Well, that afternoon, it was just typical afternoon, you know, other than the temperature being in the 50s, which was unusual for December. It really never even looked stormy here. And then I started getting texts from my friends saying, hey, it looks like some really bad weather coming your way, stay safe, go in the basement if you need to. And, you know, we were just texting back and forth, and I said, everything looks good here, you know, I'll be okay.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
Honey, I need to report a tornado.
There is a woman injured, an elderly woman.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
You can't scream because I can't hear
We
you.
need an ambulance.
We will get to you as soon as we can, okay?
It's on the ground and it's getting larger as we speak.
Use your best judgment, get out of there if you have to.
We have a house that's gone. That one's just been. 911, what is the address? Dan, what is the address?
Yes, there's kids missing. They're yelling for help, and we can't find them.
This thing's making a beeline right for
Blacktop
us.
headed towards Taylorville, catching large. They're coming in faster than we can answer. 2 elderly female trapped, unknown injury.
I was just standing there at that moment knowing what was about to happen. And the tornado hit my house, and all my windows started breaking. So I just got down on the floor and covered my head. I didn't know what else to do. I didn't have time to react. And right after that, I remember something hitting me in the head, or I hit something really, really hard, and it knocked me out.
By the time I made it to the back of my house, it was black. So I grabbed my dogs and ran to my basement. And as soon as I got to my basement, it was on top of my house.
I remember wrapping my arms around my kid and telling my son how much I loved him and that I was going to do whatever I could to keep him safe.
It was very eerily still out over here, but you could hear the loud roar, so I knew that, you know, something bad was going on.
By the time the tornado got near the hospital, you could actually feel its power even though we weren't right in the eye of the tornado. Meaning, we did our protocols for such a situation, had our patients move away from glass to the back hall. But surprising to me, the back hall became more of a wind tunnel with just the power of the winds, which I wasn't expecting. But nonetheless, after we fared our part of the weather and our structure was still intact, I knew it was time to get to work. So immediately, the nurses jumped into our code triage, which means we're most likely going to have more patients than our resources can currently handle.
The situation was really unknown. We were just starting to get some reports of how bad the damage was. Communication was extremely difficult. We knew that from trying to drive in, that there were power lines down, electrical outages. We could tell that there'd been damage. We were just starting to get some reports that Hewitttville had been hit hard and really did not know what the extent was.
When I woke up, I had been somehow blown or whatever from the kitchen into the crawl space, and I was buried. So I opened my eyes and I looked up and I saw the sky.
With the triage process of people coming in, triaging their level of care that they needed, we had the overflow area where we could take patients to that were less urgent, and of course had the more emergent patients back here. We had enough staff to have a nurse for every room, even 2 nurses for some rooms. So the response was amazing from the staff here in the ER. Plus we had people from other departments come in. Therapy came in, housekeeping came in. Of course all the administrative staff was here. We had a huge response.
The coordinator of the hospital had called up and said, look, we're going to be getting pretty busy here in the emergency room. Any chance that any of you day shifters could possibly come down and assist wherever it may be?
We live about a mile away from the hospital, and it took me an hour to get here. There was a lot of debris. I had to make a lot of U-turns.
I couldn't get my car out of the garage because I had down power lines in front of my house. So I just took off running down every road that I could get through, not even thinking about down power lines. And I finally made it here.
So we had 3 doctors working. We still had a mid-level available for what we call the more walking wounded that we had placed over in surgery as the overflow area. And together we're all seeing patients.
Everybody was there. Everybody was ready to help.
I just started, well, I first of all tried to push everything off of me and I couldn't budge it. So I just started screaming for help. And my neighbor next door to the south of me yelled over to me, "Sherry, we hear you. We hear you, we're coming." My son-in-law, Stan, was showing me a picture of where they found me. I mean, I know where the crawl space was, and I know where the kitchen was, so how I got from here to here, I have no idea, and I'm probably glad I was not conscious when that was going on. But he said, everywhere in that crawl space, within inches around you, was something that should have killed you.
Initially on that night, when the fire department was making their sweeps of the streets, going house to house for criticals, Sherry was one of them that was brought in. I was the treating physician. She was in room 4, remember the case well. And yeah, she couldn't provide much history, so we have to assume head to toe anything and everything could be in play.
I didn't know it at the time, but I had 12 broken bones.
We got limited labs, limited x-rays, once again trying to stabilize what we need to stabilize to get her transferred because she would need trauma services and further care.
I just want to thank them for all they did do for me. You know, they got me stabilized and, you know, took really, really good care of me, sent me to Memorial. I'm just grateful that they were there.
I'm really impressed with how well it went and the amount of professionalism that I saw from the employees that day.
From the outside looking in, probably looked like chaos. From the inside out, it was actually more methodical and calm than I thought it might have been.
We have practiced emergency preparedness here for years.
It was worst case scenario, but the best crew that could have been on service was.
I think it's wonderful to work in a community, especially a small hospital, where everybody comes together and works so well together.
I always feel that Taylorville was a close-knit community, always. We're a small town. Most small towns are. It's even more so now.
I can't say enough about the people of Taylorville and how they came. There were people the very next day that came here to clean up the debris. And the pictures are unbelievable. It's like, I cannot even imagine what Tad thought when he got here and looked around. It's like, where do we even begin? But people were just going up and down the street. You know, do you need help? Do you need help? We never felt forgotten at all, you know. It was a very, very big comfort to us.
We really showed the community in a very tangible way that we can care for them even in some of their most difficult situations. And them to hear those stories of people who walked from clear across town from their own damaged house, their own damaged neighborhood, because they knew they were needed here, that's what makes me most proud.